This last week, as we've been announcing, and you all know, that there was a small team that went from here for a mission trip to Pune, to Sparsh. Sparsh, with whom we partner, we've been partnering from very long time. And in fact, it is only this trip that I discovered that they also began when Kehilat Bethlehem began. So it was an interesting thing to find out. I just wanted the team that went to come forward just so that I've asked some of them to share. All of them won't be sharing, but I want you all to know who all went and who all shed their blood and sweat and whatever they did. Can you all just come forward? If even the camera can be, if you can just stand here, line up so everybody can see who all were there. Rejoice, you will have to come out and just show everybody who these men and women were. These were the ones that went. And interestingly, last time that we went, it was a different team. And I found it interesting. This one standing here was the only one to accompany me from the last time's team. And when he went last time, he was tiny. But this time he was grown up and he was able to serve there along with the rest of them. No, not everybody has come into the camera, so you will have to even show the ladies. Yeah, you can start shifting this side. And so these were the ones that went along with them. I really want to thank God for the selection that He made. And I want you to know that they all went to serve. And they were all involved in one or the other way, serving the children and whatever had to be done. And they have made an impact. Why don't we just give a round of applause unto God for these lives? Amen. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You can go and sit down. I've just asked only a couple of them to share, most of them from the younger generation, and only one from the old camp to come and share because of the constraint of the time that we have. So I've asked them to share what has been their experience and what they have been challenged. And if they have a word of challenge for you who are listening, I want you to know something. You know, what is the purpose of a mission trip? What a mission trip can primarily do? Sorry? To reach the unreached? Impart a vision? In the many, many mission trips that I have done, you know what it is? I have learned? If one thing happens in a mission trip is that you change. You change. Something in you changes. Something in you gets impacted. And so I've asked some of them to come forward and share what has been their experience, what challenged them, and what is it that they would like you to take from what they have to share. So I've asked first Sandeep to come forward. Sandeep, if you can come and share just 2 minutes, make it brief so that we don't have, we can have everybody within the time.
Shabbat Shalom, and in my mission trip, and I think there are three things that really impacted me. The first thing being, we were told that we'd be going out and we'd be distributing some groceries to some rag pickers in the city, and little did I know that we will be taken to a dump yard where most of these rag pickers were, and so as we went, we put on our masks and we went in, and as the further we went ahead, and the stench was unbearable, and all these people, and this is where most of these people, some of these people live, and what came to my heart was, these are all people like me. These are all people that God has created. These are people who look like me, talk like me. And their living conditions and their lifestyle actually saddened my heart. I felt like some of these people are nameless. They have no voice. But what I some of these people, they die in these dumping yards where a lot of this dirt is also burnt. They, and nobody knows who died because nobody cares. Some nameless person at the end of it, that is who they are. And I felt like, what challenged my heart is that, I was reminded of this scripture. Um, if you see your brother hungry and naked, if you don't clothe him, if you don't feed him, and then what are we doing? And that was something that was going on in my heart. And if we being educated and in whatever sphere of life we are in, whatever area of impact that we have and God has placed us in, and if we are not impacting some of these places, then we are not doing anything. We're probably going again and giving some groceries, but we won't be doing anything to alleviate their suffering, their pain, and then do something for them. And the second thing that I saw was that all these kids, Pastor Joseph has been telling about their background quite a bit. But when I saw them personally, when I met with them personally, these are not some victimized kids. There's so much of life in them, and they're very responsible kids. So that actually showed me what the kind of work that was happening in Sparsh, where they are trained to be very hardworking individuals who are responsible for their lives and for the responsibility for others also. And one final thing that I saw is the leaders of Sparsh, Brother Timothy and Sister Joyce. The kind of work that they put is incredible. And for a moment, I was very sad at the condition of their physical bodies, because the work that they've done has actually taken a toll on them. And I felt like it will be our responsibility to help people who are in the field, not just saying hi bye, but then when they are in their health and when they are doing when they are in the field, there's a lot of toll that they take, and then we need to be able to support them in more ways than what we can think of. And at the end of the trip, I was really humbled, and like Pastor Sunny said, something really changed in me. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. I just have 2 to 3 points that I wanted to share. The first thing that I experienced was getting out of my comfort zone and trusting God outside of it. It's easy for me to know what's going to happen, have an idea of what I'm going to do next, but what I learned was the fact that I had no idea what was going to happen, and I had to practice my faith like that. And I was looking at all of these kids. They had absolutely no idea what their future was going to look like, pretty uncertain, education or anything. And even through that, they always had a cheerful face, and they were living a good life, and that was what touched my heart. And there was one incident where we were going on a trek to the mountain, on top of a mountain, and I was so afraid because I didn't think I could make it. And halfway, not even halfway, like 5 minutes up the mountain, I decided it was time for me to go back because there was no way I could make it. But I just let go of that fear, and I made it through the whole trek. And that was very interesting because it's so easy for me to be afraid, and that's the first thing that comes to me. But through this mission trip, what I learned was how to let go of that and just give up control, or whether give up my fear or anything. And that was what my experience was. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So, when Pastor Joe said that we're going for a mission trip, I immediately jumped in because I knew that was what I was been called for. So, when we started the journey, I had only few things in my mind. That was, I'm going to go there, I'm going to work, I'm going to serve, and I'm going to help people. And that's all I knew. I didn't even know what the plan was. I didn't know how each day was going to go. And so I just went with the flow. So when we went, there were people we went to give the groceries to in the slum people and the kids and everyone we met. I realized one thing, and that was they are the same as us. They are all humans. They all deserve the same thing as us. And another thing I realized was every small thing counts because we take things a lot for granted. I have a home, I have a car, I have friends, I have physical things, I have everything, but yet I'm not satisfied. And when I saw those kids, they don't even have half the things that we have, half the things that we know, but yet they are on top of the moon. They are very smart, they are very sharp, and you don't even know, if you didn't know their background, if you don't know who they are and where they came from, they are the same as us, and they deserve more, in fact. I went there thinking I'm going to change someone else, I'm going to help someone, but what happened in the end was they changed, obviously. They were impacted a lot, trust me. But the main thing was I was changed, I was impacted because I looked at things way different when I came back. I seriously can't explain how much I have taken for granted, how much I have looked at everything and not even understood what I just did. I've taken so much for granted. I've wasted so much of my time just thinking about things that I don't have or that I want. In the end, it's all about community and family because all your thoughts is inside of you, but unless you share it with someone, unless you are with someone and doing something, you're never going to get anywhere. I was thinking about the way I live because when we were there, everyone woke up early in the morning to do the devotion, to spend time with us, to spend time with them. They all had chores to do and they were all happy. Trust me, none of them had a single angry face, none of them were upset, and none of them even fought once. I never saw any of them fight because that's a family. That's what you call a family. Because if you are all just fighting and thinking about yourself and in your own world and how you feel, that's nothing. That's not a family. That's not a community. What is a family is together. And I was seriously impacted by everyone. How Timothy Baya was, he sacrificed his whole life for all these kids. I can't say enough. You've impacted me. You've impacted us. Thank you.
Aichi, would you want to come and just brief word say what did you like? Come. You know, there was a point when on the way back the journey he said, I don't want to go, I want to go back. So we were like, okay, we will find a place for him, Sparsh. So let's hear from him what impacted him.
Shabbat Shalom. So this time I went to Pune. It was a different house, Last time I went, I hardly remember anything. But this time, I took a lot while I came back. So, so there are a few things I want to share. The first thing is, like, the way they accepted us as like to as our home was a wonderful thing. I was amazed the way they were like taking care of us like a family, just the way our parents and our family does. The same way they were like, um, what do you say, like they they just invited us like not like a guest or anything, but they just treated us like a family. So it was a wonderful experience this time in Pune, Sparsh. Thank you.
Abigail.
Shabbat Shalom. This was my first mission trip, and I wasn't going to go because I was caught up with a lot of work. But I'm actually really thankful that I got to go because it was very refreshing. Even though we went there to do so much work, I feel like I came back with so much of more life in me. And it was, I'm not the type that is usually who would interact with kids because I don't know how to interact with them. So I was a little skeptical while going there, thinking how I would talk to all these kids because I don't know, it's very weird for me usually. But the moment I stepped in, it seemed like they were all so ready for us and they wanted us to be there. And the next morning, it didn't even take like 2 hours for us to start interacting with those kids, and they were so happy. And I've never seen kids that happy, like just happy, non-stop happy. They could talk to us, be happy. They're in the middle of their studies, and they're so happy, and they're doing things together. And some of them are working with the staff and the cooking, and they're always around. It was very refreshing to have people to just have their simple lives, but they're so happy with everything that they do. It helped me like remember that, you know, I can sit and think about how I need my personal time every day, just a little bit to sit by myself to think. But they were always together, and that encouraged me to be there nonstop with them. And I didn't feel like I needed that personal time to sit away, and it was different compared to how I usually go about my day. And the second thing I really noticed was how they work together as a family. They do everything together, and how they're so wholesome in everything they do. I was talking to some of the kids, and they don't, like Erin mentioned, they don't even have half of what we have. They don't have a plan for their future. They're all really confused about what to do. Whereas to me, I know I at least have an idea of what I want to do, and I know I can do it. They want to do things, but it's not always that they can. And I felt really like, you know, I'm so ungrateful, even though I know I can do the things that I want to do. But they, despite them being so unsure, were still able to tell me all of that and be like, we can trust in God. And all of their faith came into their words, and it was very beautiful. It kind of helped me take a step back and think about how I have all of these things, and yet I'm still sometimes ungrateful and I don't consider it. But they just, you know, they just are so happy. It's like, even though they're so unsure, they have learned that being happy and trusting in God does solve most problems. And yeah, it was beautiful. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. I know each of them have something to share, and each of them made an impact, have an impact in their lives. Brother Surya was also, if you can just stand up for everybody to see, he was also there. There is one more person who's there who's not here. Aaron Manikonda also joined, but he's somehow not able to make it. Be seated, please. So, to begin with, Yeah, I think before I speak, can we play the video, Aaron? If you can just run the video. I want you to go through the pictures, see what happened. There's a lot, many. We don't have the time to show everything, but what we have put some to give you a glimpse of what's happening there, what is the place, and then I will share with you a bit. Can we play the video? It was not a fun trekking, I would tell you that. It was a key to open something. I will explain to you about this too. This is part of the farm. And that's the biggest goat that you saw there. And that was just born the day this one was just born the day we went. Yes, these cows were named after these girls. Each cow has a child's name. That is Brother Timothy, who's the parent of that entire house. And what you're seeing is this is one of the biggest slums in the city of Pune. And this man works. He grew up in slum. Now he works among the slum dwellers. This is the dump yard where these people work. They work with their bare hands, with no gloves, no mask, nothing. That's them. Those are the people cleaning the dirt of the city we so proudly spread around. After the distribution, we were following them to see where they are going. And this is where they work their 8-hour job. When you sit in your ACs and work, this is where they are working. And this is their work. Segregating the garbage that we throw into the roads, and look at the smile on their face. And she's taking us, you know where? She's taking us to show her palace. That is her palace. She literally called that her palace. She said, come and see my palace. And she's so happy to be in that palace. Not this one. I'll come around. There, that one. That's her family seated inside. They're working. And she's, by the way, a believer. She's a believer who goes to a congregation. These small sessions that you're seeing were probably the most impactful time that we had with them, for them. Yeah, it was not just the kids, even the dogs. Even Sharon played, who never plays. It's the kids who do the cleaning, and since they've been having exam, the place has not been, done in detail, which we were able to give them when we were there. That's the entire family of Sparsh that you see. There is a granny, there are those ladies, and I will tell you who they are. So for those of you joining us online, probably just joining and you have no clue what's happening, we were just giving an update of a mission trip that we just took last week with a few team members from here. And what you saw was a glimpse of what our experience was there. And Sparsh, what Sparsh is a Hindi word which means to touch, just a touch. And trust me, it means a lot for these kids that you have seen. What Sparsh does is Sparsh works specifically among the people in the red light area or in the section where prostitution is done. Many of these women who come there are trafficked into the red light area. Many of them are brought in from Nepal. From Nepal, they are brought in. They are brought in with the promise that they will get a job. They brought in that they will be given a job, but they are brought into the red light area, and then there is no escape. Because what happens is it's a gang there. There are goons, there are gangsters who guard the place. Once you are in, you have no way out. And these kids that you were seeing are kids who've been rescued from those red light area and homes, and from the women who, give birth to these children. A lot of these children don't know who their parents are. There was one boy who was there even when we went last time. He's still there. And he could not finish his studies, so he's still catching up. But he's still there. And what we found out was when he was just 8 years old, till then his mother, he just knows the mother. He doesn't know who the father is, obviously. The mother used to visit, and when he was 8 years old, his mother stopped coming. And so he obviously wanted to be in connection with his mother. And in Sparsh, they are usually not told where they are from, in order to not, give them a negative feeling about themselves, till the point that they are ready, mature to handle things in their lives. But he always knew, because the mother used to come visit. At age 18, he wanted to know where his mother is. And they, at Sparsh, they encourage children. They do not oppose them. And so they took him to the place where she used to work. And they were told that they haven't seen the lady in the past many months, and they don't know where she had gone. With that, it was a conclusion for him to know that he was officially an orphan. He had no mother and he had no father. And he decided to remain in Sparsh, to be part of Sparsh, and to be there for the rest of his life. If you ask him what does he like to do, he likes to do animation. He likes to build apps and softwares. And I asked him, so are you doing that in schooling? No. Where did you learn it from? Oh, well, I watched it on YouTube and I have learned how to do it. Very passionate, very, very dedicated in what he does, because one of the things that he knows, that he doesn't know where he's headed. He can't do it on his own. And so he's dedicated in the home, helping the next ones that are coming. But one thing that you would see in his face is contentment. He's happy. He's settled. Most of these women are brought in. The ladies that you were seeing, some of those ladies were prostitutes. And when they showed the desire that they wanted to get out of this place, that's when Sparsh swings into action. And what Sparsh does is they will have to engage the owners, the brothel owners, and whoever are the gang leaders, to get into a conversation, a deal, to see how they can be brought out. And how they can be brought out is not just, okay, we are taking them, so we are going. No. If you have to be brought out, you need to understand these people are money makers. They make money for these brothel owners. So if you have to bring them out, you have to pay a price. And quite often, these prices are really high. It can start from anywhere from 1 lakh and go up. 1 lakh rupees. And 1 lakh rupees is probably $1,500 onwards. It just goes up. It depends upon how much that person makes it for the brothel. And so they are brought in. You have to understand, when they are brought in, it's not just a rescue mission that's happening. At Sparsh, it's not just rescue mission that's happening. It's the restoration process that is happening. So what is the restoration process? And Brother Timothy, and I will show the picture, Timothy and Joyce, what they want them to do is they want them to be restored back into the society to be a normal human being. So what happens in the brothel is you just sit and you make money. You sit, you cater to the customer, and you just get the money. You get the dresses, you get the food, you get all that stuff. And so when they come out of the brothel, then the challenge begins because they don't know, first of all, how to work. Second, some of them don't want to work. It's a great challenge. So now suddenly the money they were making, it's lost. And they have no money. So it is lives like these that Timothy and Sister Joyce is trying to change in them. It's not just a rescue mission, it's a restoration and a complete renewal of mind. And some of these ladies come out along with their children. So when you rescue, you're not just rescuing a lady, but you're rescuing her child too. And so you have to now begin to take care of the child too. And these children who come out, they come out because they want to have a different future. They want to have a future where they can study, where they can pursue something that they think is sensible, and they want to build. But as we were talking to some of them, what Sparsh does is, Sparsh at this moment can only take care of them till they finish their 12th standard. Okay? After the 12th standard, they don't know what they're going to do. And so even as they are, and they are there, and they are, those three girls. Can we pull up the PPT? That's the building. And what you're seeing there is, those are girls who you see are up there on the ladder. And you know what they're doing? They are actually working on the electrics. And I was amazed when I saw that it was not the boys, it was the girls who were working on the electrics. And they were setting up light system for the birthday party. And that's our very own Isaac, who inaugurated working there with sweeping. What you're seeing here, this is the boy that I was talking about. At the age of 8, he went to search for his mother, and thereafter he doesn't know. There is not a thing that this boy doesn't know. He knows how to fix what he's doing right now. He's fixing a bike. They were funded by somebody to start a hotel, so that they can become self-sufficient to take care of their own needs. This boy runs the hotel. He runs around to take care of the things of the home. And when we went, he was probably Isaac's age when we went the first time. Now he is one among those people who runs the thing. His name is Nana. They call him Nana. That's the girls that you see are doing the electrical work. They do everything. By the way, this place is centered in the middle of agricultural farm. And so when they moved there, they also rented out a land next to their property. And these girls and these boys went there doing farming. They planted, they were taking care of the crops and whatever. They are trained into everything. It's not just that give them the education, let them figure out. They are equipped. They are put there to face life so that after 12th, when they go out and they have to make a decision, they don't. It's not that they don't know what to do. Oh, that's, by the way, Isaac finding out the chocolate is not good for your teeth. That's sugar cane that he's trying to bite, but he was not able to bite. That's the trekking. So these older ones, it took, these kids that you're seeing at the older ones, it took them a bit of a time to open up. Now, you have to understand, Sparsh, last time when we went, for those of you who went with me, you know that it was in the city. And so inside the city, the congregations and the churches that were around were more keen to come and visit them, on a regular basis. And there were teams that were coming also from abroad, from out of India, that would regularly come and visit those children. But what happened from the time that they moved out of that place and got on their own property into an outside of the city, which around takes 1.5 hours if you want to come from the city to the center. So people don't come. People don't come to visit. after many, many years, I think from 2019, it was the first time somebody visited these kids. Can you imagine? After 2019, this was the first time someone came to visit, that they are seeing or interacting with somebody other than themselves. So obviously there was apprehension in these kids, who we are, what have they come for, and all that stuff. And then Brother Timothy said, we have a farm, and it is around this hilly area. We're going to go for a trekking. And that trekking, obviously, when you look at it, it'll be like it's to have fun. But I felt that's where the key turned. And that's where these older ones felt they're not to here do something, look at us from above, but they were with us. The key opened, and that's where these girls actually begin to, the older ones, these are the ones who are doing their 12th, and they are about to pass out, finish their studies, and they have to move out of the house. Because the next set of kids from the red light area is ready to be taken in. And so you can't just keep bringing in kids and keep them there. Once they grow up, their education is over, they are on their feet, they have to move out. And so their concern right now is, where do we go? Because they don't have a home. You know where their home is? If they know their home is either Sparsh, and if you leave Sparsh, it's the red light area. And you definitely don't want to go back there. So if they have to study further, if they have to do something further ahead, they have to find another hostel. Which means you need money. And so, sitting there, their thoughts are, where do we get the finances? Where do we get the money to do the studies now, any further if you want to do? That was part of the trekking. Well, some of them almost slipped. Now, the farm. Why did the idea of the farm come to Sparsh is just before 2020. You know what happened in 2020, right? Just before that, Sparsh actually missed out on the date of renewing their registration. Obviously, because of all the things that are happening, they just missed out on the renewal of the registration. And the day it expired, that day, as if the dear government was just waiting, that's what happened, they froze their accounts. They just froze the entire account. You have to understand, there are around 25 to 30 kids in the home. And the government just froze the entire finance that they had. And for how long? Can you make a guess? For 2.5 years, they did not release their money. And not just that they did not release the money, the government took their money. Every penny that kept coming in, there are people who are trying to fund this. Who all do you say don't put? Every penny that kept coming in, the government took it. Around 10 lakhs or so, the government took from Sparsh. And so they understood, and then obviously COVID happened. And when COVID happened, what do you do? And so it was put into their heart that they need to acquire land. And these lands are, because it's out of the city, they got it very cheap. They wanted to build a farm. And what they do in the farm is they're trying to grow their own, things that they need. And also what they have are these goats. And that's, by the way, Jasmine trying to find a new job there. That was a part of our interview. And the cows, what they have is they milk them, and the milk is sold to the city. By the way, you know how much is the milk there per liter? Just 40 rupees. Here the milk is somewhere around 60 to 100. And so Timothy was shocked. He's like, what? If we get 80, that's like amazing. It's just 40. But anyway, they said they needed to do this, one, to sustain themselves, and also to have these kids to be able to do something other than just being inside. And so all these cows are named after one of these girls. And so it gives them a sense of belonging. This is mine. It's not that they say this is Sparsh. These two, one is I think Sangeeta and one is Anita. Yeah, there are two cows way at the back which belongs to them. It's it's in their name. And then we were having a breakfast after the trekking was over. And there is an opportunity always for you to make an impact. Just seemingly just a time of breakfast. I don't know who, but at the end of the day, when we were closing everything at the end, they were given a time to give a feedback. We didn't get enough good audio. I just realized we don't have the equipment when we go for these mission trips to record these things. And I also felt we need a camera crew, that would always capture. There's so much that you could have captured. By the time you realize and you pick up your phone, and this phone, it doesn't work when you want it to, that's the time it wants to get stuck. And by the time the moment is gone, one of the girls said, while we were eating, all that we were eating was bread, egg, jam, butter, and peanut butter, and salt and pepper. I don't know which of the great guys from among us told one of the girls, slice the egg and put some butter. Help me out, guys. Some butter, pepper, and salt on the boiled egg. Whose idea was this? Yours. Yeah, it was Sharon's idea. She told them to put some butter, pepper on the boiled egg and try. And she was like, who does that? But Sharon said, you will not know till you try. And apparently, she tried and she loved it. And just that action spoke to her something. She said, we cannot know anything in life till we give it a try. Never conclude things without giving it a try. Seemingly a fun act, but it was something ordained by God to speak into their lives. That's why these kind of trips are important. This, like I said, is one of the biggest slum there. And these were the groceries. So every month, once a month, they have these groceries that they go to distribute. Usually the children go along with Sister Joyce to distribute. This time, they gave us the opportunity, and I'm so glad that we went to, how many packets, guys, do we know how many? 50 packets. We were able to give out 50 packets of grocery, basic grocery for these people who work in the slum. This is Brother Santosh. He grew up in slum. And so since he grew up in slum, he has a heart for the people in the slum area. And so he still works there. He teaches them, he feeds them. He feeds them actually every day. Every day he has a feeding program. So we went along with him basically to this dump yard. And this is a dump yard where the city's garbage comes and is being dumped. We have something here in Hyderabad, You pass through that place and you go like, the smell. And we were right in the bang in the middle of it. So we were told, if you want to have a mask, please have a mask. We saw the video, so I'm not going to show that again. Please wear your mask just in case, because it's sensitive. Because some of the people who work in the dump yard are believers in the congregation. You had to see the joy on their face. Or you had to see the happiness when they saw us come, and, they were all waiting. And so after giving the food, they asked us, I wanted to go in and see what is in there. And as we were walking, this lady comes in and says, please come to my palace. And I laughed at that point, and we just walked, and that's what you saw, just a hut. And it's hot. It is hot. I don't know what was the temperature. It was crazy hot. They sit in that sun, under the sun, in the stench. And as they were walking, that is Sister Joyce ahead of us. So I was saying, I was asking her, what do they do? What is their work? Their work is to segregate, filter things, plastic from what is a total waste. And she said, sometimes while they do this, they land upon dead bodies. They get dead bodies. And so, they are clearing this, and you get body pieces, and this is what they deal with every day. every day. And like Sandeep was saying, some of them just, how you understand the gas that comes out in that place? Some of them don't survive for too long. These are human beings. These are things that are happening in our nation. While we still try to make our own lives, we are still concerned about my emotion, my difficulties, my family, my home, my children. There are people struggling. And one thing, if happens when you go in there, you will say, thank you, Lord, for sure. We complain because we don't know the other side. And you know what the sages say? Sages say the poor are not poor because they don't have money. The sages say the poor are made poor for you. You and I. To do what? So that you will have an opportunity to give. So what does that mean? That means the day when you and I stand before God, and these poor will find out that they were kept poor so that you and I can have an opportunity. But you and I did not use that opportunity or take that opportunity to serve them. They will ask God, then why was I kept poor? Why this injustice? If they were not ready to serve, why did we have to suffer? Why did we have to be the ones in the dump yard? And what do you think God is going to do? He's going to turn to you and I and ask us, what do you have to say? We need to get out of the mode. And as some of us, I have said, we have learned this terminology. You know what that terminology is? Oh, I don't have money. I don't have. But what we don't know is by repeatedly saying something, you are creating a reality for your life. By constantly saying, I don't have, sometimes even when you have, you're creating a reality, because Bible says your tongue has the power of life and death. Instead, God wants you to go out to these people and see and find an opportunity. It is an opportunity kept for you to serve. And so these were the small sessions. What Sandeep is doing is these are kids who are going to pass out now. So they wanted to have some discussion on the career, on what to choose, what not to do. And this was the session that he was taking. And Jasmine and Abigail were given the smaller kids to interact. And trust me, they had a wonderful time. You had to listen to their feedback. This is a granny who stays there to help these kids, Early in the morning, they have to get up. When they get up, it's not just get up, put on their school uniform and go. Before they go to the school, they've got some chores to do. So every kid is involved in the upkeeping of the entire home. And it's not like, work duty. You have to understand, it's chores. It's a family. It's a family. You have to be there to understand what it means. They are family. They are free to do things, but at the same time have the order of the home. That was us trying to clean up their jungle that was not touched. That's Pastor Surya cleaning up the window panes, which is pretty. And that's Lakshman clearing up. Now this girl is from Nepal. Okay, when she came to Sparsh, she knew not a single word of Hindi, not a single word of English. Forget about Marathi, which is the local language in Bombay. 9 months down the line, she became fluent in Hindi. She learned Hindi, she started speaking Hindi, and she comes second. She comes first. She comes first in the class. She comes first in her class in 9 months' time. You know what that says? If you want, there is nothing that is difficult. We say, oh, this is a difficult language. How will I, if you want, there is not a mountain that you cannot climb. And the joy on her face, and she's not the one. That the other one is, her name is Asma on the extreme left on your screen. She comes second, I think. She comes second, and the middle one is Brother Timothy and Joyce's very own son, Mika. He also comes first. These kids are smart. You have to understand, I have to give it to them that they're very, very smart kids. You talk to them and you will be like, oh, they know a little more than I do. They're very smart kids, but born in a very sad situation. But that doesn't have to limit them. You and I have an opportunity to bring them up, to put them into a path that is going to build their life. You know, Pastor Joseph said before we went to Sparsh that we want to give them an offering. We want to give them an offering. But even till the day we were leaving, majority of us had not even contributed anything. And so, but we wanted to, so Pastor Joseph, you know, obviously volunteered to cover the rest of the entire expense from his side, and we were able to bless them. And you had to see when we gave that check, the expression on Timothy's face and his body language. He was like, thank you, brother. Brother, thank you so much. You have no idea what that means. It was like a person who was thirsty for so long and you gave him some water to drink and he was just, thank you, thank you. And I think, I didn't know, immediately after that he called up Pastor Joseph to say, thank you. Thank you for doing what you did. This was the call that was given to this congregation. There was a need. And to that need was the call. You understand what I'm trying to say? That opportunity doesn't come again. When the opportunity comes, grab it. Grab it, because your reward is going to be great. This was them baking some cake. Oh, they loved. I don't think they bake cakes there, or even though they have ovens, I mean, these kids don't have. So Abigail and Jasmine volunteered to give them cakes. We had some time of playing, you know. This was not so much for fun, but it was to build that connection. And that's not Jasmine trying to choke her, but, you know, she was trying to have a conversation. Some of these kids very genuinely come and, you know, they talk to you like they have nobody else to talk to. How much would Timothy and Grace do? And this was the birthday party of Timothy and Grace's son, and we had a small time of sharing, which we got feedback, you know. Some of them, God spoke what they needed to hear. That's them celebrating the birth. That's Brother Timothy, Joyce, and their son. They are the ones who run the home. And you know what? They told me before leaving that they're looking for somebody who can come to take care of the boys' home. The boys live separate. They're kept in another apartment, and there's nobody to, you know, supervise them. And this is what they said. They said, Brother Sunny, we don't find people who are committed. And I said, talk about it. This generation we come to a time where we don't have people who are committed. We have brought the corporate into the body of Messiah. You know what the corporate is? I'm working, and I'm not going to give my 100%. I'm just going to wait you how you're going to treat me. And the day I feel that you're not treating me nice, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to throw my resignation. Why? Because there is another company that's going to take. And so we come into ministries like this. Oh, I'm going to see how you're going to take. I'm going to see how much you're going to pay. I'm going to see how you're going to treat me. The day I get offended, you know what? You can keep your work. I'm going to go find another ministry. And just because we think we are going from one ministry to another ministry, we are just doing God's will. We are destroying the body of Messiah. We are becoming people with lack of commitment. You know why? Because we have become people who serve ourselves, our agenda. The kingdom of God is not built like that. The kingdom of God is built by people who lay down their life. That's what Yeshua said. Who give themselves up and say, no matter what, I may not like it here, but I have committed to be here to serve you, and I will do that. So they are looking for somebody, who would commit to the work. They literally don't have a second line leadership at the moment. After them, they don't have, because they don't have people who are committed. And what do you see here? These are dogs. These dogs were not brought in like you and I want to keep pets. That's not why they were brought in. In 2020, when the entire world shut down and the kids were beginning to get frustrated, they felt it was necessary for them to bring in some pets. The reason why these dogs are there, it does multiple things, obviously. One of the things is kids, each dog is taken care of by one of the person. It's their dog. Some of these dogs are very protective about these kids. You try, go lay your hands, you will get the taste of who they are. And at last, that was the last supper that we served and had with them. And at the end, the interaction, the feedback that we got, and I wish that I could make you all hear, they literally didn't want us to go. The next morning, they were crying, they were weeping, and some of them told these girls, women, you should have come, because the need was more from among the women. Though I believe the team that went was God appointed, but having said that, that doesn't mean that you should have grabbed the opportunity, because these girls needed somebody to talk to. So when a call is given, don't take your sweet time. Don't listen to, God is saying, who will go for me? Whom will I send? Lord, this my neighbor. Yeah, here I am, Lord, send my neighbor. No, it's not going to work. You want something to happen in your life? Get out. Get out of your house. What these mission trips are going to do? It's going to challenge you. It's going to make you see that you've been blessed beyond measure. You and I have been blessed beyond measure. That place doesn't even have an AC. You and I are seated in AC, we walk in AC, we sleep in AC. In the room that we were put in, there was only one fan. Just one fan on the ceiling, and you know how much it turns, and we had to sleep. And guess what? God was gracious enough to make the weather cool down. It was a miracle, because none of us stayed awake saying that it was hot. We slept. And we slept good. Ask any of these guys. When you step out, God steps out along with you. You want to see the hand of God? Step out of your home. God is sending you. Amen? So the opportunity is still open to give. We've got some desires. Pastor Joseph will probably share whenever it is the right time what God is laying in our hearts. But we still want to stand. We're still partnering with Sparsh. So you still have the opportunity to give. For those of you who are watching online, you still have an opportunity. You have an opportunity. One kid's expense in a year is anywhere from $600 to $700 in a year for the entire year, which is their schooling, their boarding, their maintenance. By the way, we even take care of their clothing. Sparsh takes care of the clothing also. And medical expenses, if there may be other school activities, whatever it may be, there is around $600 to $700 for one child. One child. And when an adult comes in, that is another. We've got 3 staff that work there 24/7, stay there, sleep there, and then 2 other that come to, help them with their education. There's so much that's happening. I cannot say everything in words. You need to be there to see it, to feel it, to understand it, to experience it, and to know it for yourself. Then you will want to do something. Amen?